Okay, recording. Hi, hi Daniel, how are you today?
Hey, Fanny, how you doing?
Good. So what brings you into counseling today?
Yeah, well, I decided to come to counseling today. Well, there was an event that was kind of bittersweet for me. Person I knew for, maybe 15 years, recently got married,
Mm,
and I helped her secure the venue. I just played a very small role and helped her out.
mm-hmm.
And some of these some of her photos came out in Facebook following her, and I was really happy for her. But those feelings of being happy there turned to a little bit of regret, maybe sadness on my part,
Mm,
simply because I started thinking uh, of that part of my life, and I started thinking, oh man, am I ever going to get married, or how is that going to happen to me? And of course, I started thinking of past opportunities,
mm-hmm.
past relationships, where I started feeling, man, it could have worked out with this person, it could have worked out with that person, but I decided to say no. And I don't know, overall sense of regret, overall sense of a little bit of sadness,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just feeling like maybe I made a mistake, and that's where I was. That's kind of how I was feeling the last couple
Okay.
weeks.
Um, Tell me more about about that feeling like like mistakes, your mistakes.
The what?
About tell me more about that. You said about the feeling like you made mistakes or
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in relationships where more or less, my partners have almost begged to just continue and continue the relationship, but I eventually ended the relationships.
mm,
So I started rethinking about those because I sometimes I think, well, maybe it's me, but then I started thinking, no, I've had genuine opportunities to maybe get married, and I just decided, not to move forward. Nothing major, nothing specific. So it just got me thinking about these past relationships where uh, I think, man, I think I probably could have made it work,
mm-hmm.
and um, and that's kind of the regret I was feeling.
Okay. Um, how do you feel staying in the feeling of sadness? If you felt that sadness,
Yeah,
allow yourself to
I
feel
mean,
that sadness.
I definitely feel it. I definitely feel sad, and sadness. It turns to regret. It turns to wondering how things could have been, and eventually, it turns to me thinking, what does my future hold? Like, how is this going to happen in my life? So it turns from past
Mhm,
to worrying about the future, really quickly. I think about the past. I regret it. I feel sad. And then I start feeling sad about my future. Like, is this going to happen for me? So,
mhm.
so that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this maybe was triggered by your friend getting married and you being a part of
Yeah.
that process, the planning, and you helped in a small way, but it triggered feelings of when is this going to happen for me? I've had opportunities to be married with someone that you could share your life with. And now those thoughts are making you feel sad and regretful of maybe missed opportunities.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I'm just learning how to, I guess I'm just trying to learn how to deal with these feelings. Like, how do I try to get rid of the feelings? Do I think about, I don't know how to process these feelings and feeling that, regret, sadness, maybe worried, concerned about my future. And
Mhm.
I'm trying to, I feel a little bit lost, and I'm just trying to figure out, what can I do to maybe feel more hopeful and not be so down.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it sounds like you have maybe uncertainty about your future, finding a partner maybe.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Okay. Um, well, I'm not as young as I used to be. I worry about my age. I'm 47. And so I feel like, I keep thinking about my age, and I'm getting older.
Mhm.
And so that concern about, am I going to find somebody? And it brings a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of worry, whether it's going to happen for me or not. So yeah, so I guess I go through that whole cycle of thinking the past, regretting it, understanding my present, and then worried about the future. And so, lately part of that sadness is wondering, about how this is going to work out for me. So that's what I've been, yeah, that's kind of the concern of the future, is like, hey, is this going to happen for me? Is this part of my life ever going to, change? So that's um that's something I've been thinking about lately.
Mhm. It sounds like the more you're thinking about it, the more it's making you feel like anxious, and you feel like also because of your age, it's more worrisome to you. Um,
Mhm.
it's giving you some anxiety. Um,
Yeah,
and if you sit with that experience of feeling anxious over not being able to find someone, what does that what does that feel like to you? Like,
yeah. Um, um, well, it just feels like anxiety, kind of concern, kind of worry, whether it's going to happen or not. Sometimes it's blended with a little bit of sadness, and just concern about the unknown. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just, uh, I'm a person that wants to know things ahead of time. Like, I want to know how it's all going to unfold, and maybe that uncertainty is giving me a little bit more discomfort than I'm used to. Or, but yeah, that's a good question. I think that anxiety feels more like, afraid of the future, afraid of, if it's going to happen for me or not.
yeah,
So yeah, that's kind of how I feel right now.
okay. And then you talked about feeling afraid. Are there feeling this is not probably not good. Do you maybe feel lonely too, or
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's part of, I didn't think of it that way, but now that you bring it up, that's part of that sadness. Is I didn't identify this, but yeah, absolutely. Part of that sadness is that feeling of loneliness. It's like, oh no, am I going to be lonely for the rest of my life? Am I going to be lonely, um, uh, in my future, right? Is this part of my life ever going to resolve? So yeah, the sadness I can see is more, maybe associated of loneliness, sort of with loneliness, and maybe the feeling of uh yeah, am I going to be alone forever? And maybe that's part of how I feel, my anxiety picks up.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, feeling lonely is hard. If you're staying in that feeling of loneliness, how would you describe that?
Yeah. Um, I would describe it as uh, not having somebody. I would describe that as maybe nobody wants me. I can describe that as um, is this how my life is going to be? Right. So it actually, I think, goes to a lot of things, and just that wondering if things are going to work out. Um, so yeah, that loneliness feels like that. Like, is this going to be forever? When is it going to happen? Am I going to find anything? So that's
Mhm.
definitely part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're coming to a close of our session. You shared that you were helping a friend plan the wedding, and that triggered feelings of um, making you question, when is that going to happen for you? You're getting anxious being about feeling like you won't find your partner, or you're going to be alone, or when is that going to happen for you to find someone, and you're feeling regretful of missed opportunities. um,
Hmm.
is that kind of
Yeah,
summarizing what
that's
you said?
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
That's exactly how I.
Okay. Well, maybe we can pick up on this in the next section where we
Yeah,
left off.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, good
Uh,
job, Fanny. All
well,
right. So things I think you did well, and I think you did these well because I recognized that, oh man, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. But so your encouragers were great.
mhm.
I really like the use of tell me more about that.
Okay.
Uh, I think you put that in like two or three spots where I really had to expand on it.
Mhm.
The last of which was, I think, was really effective. Tell me more about that feeling of loneliness.
Mhm.
Because then I started thinking about yeah, I feel lonely or stay, and then you use the stay in the feeling.
Yeah.
So stay in your anxiety, stay in your sadness for a second. So you did that beautifully because it did bring things out in me and saying, oh, well, I stay in the sadness and then I started expanding more. So I think your use uh, of tell me more about that, stay in that feeling was really effective in extending the conversation.
Mhm.
And your opening was great, and your the paraphrasing, I think you did two, maybe three at the end, so three. So yeah, overall, I think you did great. Areas of improvement. Overall feeling, I felt overall understood. So you
Okay.
knew exactly how I was feeling, and I even think even more so that you opened up other areas that maybe I wasn't aware of, or at least overall, I felt like, okay, she understands me and she knows where I'm coming from. So that was great. Man, improvement. I'm having a hard time giving good feedback for that part. Uh, maybe what would be helpful? What would be helpful for you? I can't. I'm sorry. I wish I was a bit more helpful, but I recognize the things you did well. I can't seem to picture something that that you need improvement. Well, just overall, just get more comfortable with the process. But that's
Yeah.
just because this is our second time doing that. But
Yeah.
that's a very vague thing. I wish I had something specific to tell you, but I don't have anything specific
Yeah.
necessarily to tell.
That's hard to do. Yeah. The feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me stop the recording. Yeah.